Well, hello everybody and welcome to Lunchbreak Live. Real talk about obesity, food addiction, recovery, and what's really eating you. I am Cari Cruz and I'm here today with a few things that are eating me. To get started, Facebook changed the way they're doing live. So I don't even know if I am live, and I'm definitely dark. Crazy. Okay, I see my mom there. This is so strange. They've changed everything around, and so I'm sorry I'm dark and in the background here, but I'm so glad that you guys are here. Yeah, it's really, really weird. Can you see me okay? Anyway? I'm like, yeah, I would love to lighten it up. Boy, that would be so great. There we go. How about that? That's better, huh? All right. Crazy, crazy. All right, well, let me not get lost in the morass of, what Facebook is or isn't. Let me kick my trash can out of the way and get started. I want to welcome you all in on this Monday after an Easter, or maybe it's a Tuesday morning, or maybe it's any other day of the week that you guys are joining me. I'm just happy to be here today. As you guys may have gathered by the title of the show, and I'm calling today's show Depression, Digging into the Darkness. But before I launch into that, I want to greet you all. I want to see who's here with me. I'm so excited not to be alone. Let me just start with that. Hey, Facebook is letting me see who's here. So I got to put my glasses on for this. Definitely. Alrighty, who is here? So I've got my mama front and center, and Mexi Marge. Hi. Nancy and Christy. And beauty. Well, you can say that all day long, honey pie. Diane. Hi, Diane. I haven't seen you in a while. And Diana, I'm live from New Zealand, all the way from New Zealand. How are you? I'm live and dark, but now I'm bright, I think. Hola, Mexi Marge. Again, and Angela, so glad you are here. Better, right? Dorothy. Who else is here? I'm glad you have the day off today, too. I'm really glad you could join me today, Diane. It's always better when I'm not alone. And Jerry, you made it. All right. Yeah, like Romper Room. Okay, I don't understand the reference. You're going to have to help me because I watched Romper Room. I loved it. All right. So I'm really glad that you guys are all here. And today's program, still at work, but here. Hey, you know what? I'm at work, too, but I'm here. So I guess our employers are happy that we're here. Anyway. Today, depression. It's really funny, or not funny, I don't know, but I was trying to figure out what I wanted to talk about today, and sometimes my brain is like a pachinko machine, and I don't know if you guys remember those, but that was that game where you would like flick the lever, and it had these little BBs, essentially, that would just go ding, 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 and they'd just like run down through all of the little pegs, and they'd bounce all over the place, ding, 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 all the way down, and it made all kinds of noise. So it's not a pinball machine, it's a pachinko machine, very different. And they would just be trickling down like water, like a waterfall. It was super fun. Okay. That's how my brain is sometimes. And today, no exception. However, there was one, prevailing sort of thought, I guess you could say, and it was, I'm depressed. I am really depressed. What is this all about? And, I've known about it for a couple of days, and I kept shooing it away. And I talked to my coworker. I said, you know what? I don't like this. I'm depressed, and I'm trying to get a handle on it and figure out what it is that's eating me up. And I kind of talked a few things through, as you'll hear in what I wrote, and trying to figure out what fit and what didn't. And I will just tell you this, recovery, the tools that I have gained through choosing recovery from obesity and food addiction have enabled me to face and address my reality without eating over it. That's what I want for you. That's what many of you have come to in your own lives. Many of you who join me here and echo my message of hope and serenity is that, you've learned that when things are eating you up, you don't have to eat over them. And so that is and it's a very significant silver lining in all of this, that I've been dealing with depression for many, many, many years. Easily 26 or 27 years, okay? So in other words, that doesn't necessarily change. Granted, some of the things over which I used to be depressed are no longer reasons to be depressed, and I do treat my depression. However, I find that doesn't necessarily mean depression is going to leave town. It'll always be there on some level, and it's just, how do I address it? How do I cope with it? How do I live with it? It's not easy, it's really not. So let me start. I wrote something about it. So why don't we start there and see where we go? My dog Blue. Do you guys remember my talking about my dog Blue? He's what I call depression. He's the black dog named Blue. All right. He came for a visit again, and I could not figure out why. I'm like, what is this all about, Blue? Why are you here? Because there doesn't seem to be any good reason, like you have to have a good reason for him to be here, right? And I was thinking about it. Okay, sure, right? Let's walk through this. Taxes are due. Okay, it's not a happy time for most of us, and we owe again, probably a lot. And but I believed that I had dealt with the emotional aspect of that. I am very emotional about money. I'm working on that because I am aware of it. I did not used to be aware of it. I am emotional about it, and I work very hard to address it logically. However, that doesn't stop it from, coming after me. So I'm very emotional about it, and I've been working on that and everything that it represents. And so I think, okay, is that what it is? Is it taxes? Maybe not. Maybe I just think I've got all of that covered, but grieving, and that's really what usually informs or is the foundation for a lot of depression, and certainly in my world and maybe in others, is grief on some level, okay? And it has a funny way of making a mess out of an ordinary day, seriously. So I'm emotional about money. I know that I am, and taxes remind me of lots of things that haven't panned out, okay? But still, that doesn't seem to be it. As I talk through it, I say, no. There's a lot of weight to that. There's a lot of reality. There's a lot of reasons to be down. I'm not real happy about it, but I'm like, it's not it, right? So then, okay, lately I've been thinking about my last 9 years writing and speaking within the bariatric community, okay? And the reality is I spent a lot of my own money to travel and speak. And there's that thing again. See, money, it's always there, right? I paid my own way so that I could speak, but I wanted to speak to starving people, like so many of you who were desperate to know what was eating you up. So it was so important to me. So I would pay to get there because I thought, gosh, I want to reach these people and I want to join these people, because if we can build a community, certainly I know I'm not alone, right? And they won't feel so alone. Okay, and that didn't really pan out, okay? But still, that's not it. That's not the it that is really, really consuming me, really, really eating me up, okay? And they appear to be very obvious reasons for depression, no doubt about it. Losing money, having to pay money you don't have, blah, 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 okay? But still not it. So I had to keep digging. Go into that darkness, okay? Dig. Is it the fact that I have not launched my website or finished my book? Yeah. Okay, there's something to that. I don't want to say that that's the entire it, but there is something to that, right? Because that plugs into, the failure theme, right? Oh, you didn't do it. You're not going to do it. You can't do it, right? So I'm constantly talking to myself about that. No, it doesn't represent failure. It represents something that hasn't been done yet. What are you going to do about it, kind of thing. I talk back to myself. I don't let that one go unaddressed, okay? As I have begun to live more and more in recovery from obesity and food addiction, whenever I try to figure out what it is, I listen to my spirit. That's really where I start. And when I used to eat over it, I could never hear my spirit because I was constantly telling it to shut up. And I shut down, okay? So I did not used to listen to my spirit. I used to eat over it. But my spirit is like that man that I spoke about. I don't know if you guys remember that show several months ago. If you poke a man with a stick and he squeals, he's not dead yet. I don't know if you remember that, okay? I look for the man that squeals when I poke him with a stick, okay? And as I file through the folders in what I call my mental record cabinet, okay, I read the label, and I peek inside and I read a few lines and I see, is that man squealing? Is that the one that is yelling the loudest? And in most of the cases that I mentioned above at the top of the show here, that man's not dead yet. So clearly there is work to do there. That man is still squealing. He's not as strong as he used to be, but definitely still squealing, and I can hear him, all right? But I really cannot figure out which one of those. I don't think any of those is the man that's squealing the loudest, all right? So I continue. I keep going and I flip through the files in my memory like this, all right? And I go, what is it? What is this really about, Cari? What is it that is setting up residence, basically, way down here in your heart? What is that making you feel blue, making you feel like you don't wanna? What is that all about, right? And I think when it comes right down to it, my blueness, depression, it stems from working so hard to get the message of recovery out there and not feeling like I'm making much of a difference. It does. I mean, that's always there every day. It's easy to say that reaching even one person is worth the effort. Absolutely, right? Especially if you're that one person. If I am making a connection with you today and you're that one person, you're like, yes, I need this. Okay, it's easy to say that that's enough. It's a lot, and it's a reason to be grateful and joyful. But I will tell you, there are days when it's not enough. That's about me. That's not about anybody else. That's all about me and my preconceived notions and my expectations and all of that stuff. But I do this show, basically 25 or 30 minute show every weekday, right? And I never really know who's watching. I mean, I see your names here, and I'm really grateful for that, but I don't always know who's watching. And I can see the number of views after the show has gone off the air and we're not live anymore. I can see the number of views, but how much did they watch? Did they watch 5 seconds or 5 minutes, right? Did they get anything out of it? Did they come back? Do they want to watch it? And I don't know. I can also see the number of shares, which I'm going to be honest, I appreciate it, but it's really low. I mean, Mom, thank you. Melissa, thank you. But by and large, a lot of people aren't sharing it. And I can't do it myself. I can't get the message out there. So yeah, that man is squealing. I am poking that man and partly telling him to shut up and pipe down and saying, Cari, this is all about you. But definitely, he's squealing. It is really tempting to base my value on how many people comment or how many people are here. But I think that would be really, really unwise, don't you? It would be really unwise to try and base my value on that. It is also very, very tempting and very common to base value on how much money I make doing this. Pretty sure since I make nothing, that would be even less wise, don't you? But still, that man is squealing a little bit. Here's the thing. I like to find the reason for things. I really do. I think we all do, right? And when we're eating over feeling bad, we're not able to see what's really bothering us because we are shoving it all down. We are obscuring reality. We are trying to go into a coma to run away from it. But I like to find the truth that underlies this sadness. Nobody likes to be sad. Nobody likes to be depressed. We all want to find the why, don't we? It doesn't always happen, though. That's the thing about depression. It doesn't always happen. And sometimes the truth can be even more depressing than not knowing the truth. I mean, that's just the truth. So that means depression is a cannibal. It feeds on itself. Depression feeds on it itself. So it's like if you didn't feel bad enough, now that you figured out why you feel bad, you feel worse, right? I mean, that happens sometimes, but I don't want to live there. That's the thing. I don't want to live there, and I'm certainly not going to feed it, okay? So today, why am I talking about this? Well, I want to explain that in the past, I absolutely fed my depression to make it go away, which it didn't do. We figured that out because it's a cannibal, right? Feeding my depression definitely made it worse. At least 320 pounds of worse, at one point. Facing my depression with an attitude of honest awareness helps. Okay, it helps. I didn't say it solves. I said it helps. Acceptance makes it livable. But doing something really seems to be the key for me. Doing something. And I don't mean running away from it, because a lot of us do that and figure, well, if I'm just doing something, I'm going to keep running so it doesn't catch me. I don't really think, I'm not an expert on depression, but I'm pretty sure that's not the answer. Yes, it's important to change the scenery, and you'll hear me talk about that a lot. It's important to reclaim your world, as well, but not for the purpose of running away. That's not what it is. To me, it's for the purpose of clearing the air, seeing things clearly, seeing things in a new light from a different perspective in a different way, okay? So doing something seems to be the key. If I am depressed because my book isn't done, well, it kind of makes sense to go back and work on the book, doesn't it? So that would be doing something, right? If I'm depressed because people don't seem to be watching the show in big numbers, well, guess what? I can stop doing it. That's true. I have the power. I am not helpless. It is not hopeless. I can choose to do that. But that would be very depressing. I've got to be honest with you. That would be really depressing if I stopped doing the show. Or I can find a way to spread the word. I can do that. I got to double down. Maybe I got to figure out ways to get the message out there. I got to do that. And that's hard for me. I don't like to be a promoter. I like to be an attractor. It's really, really hard for me to say, yay me, listen to me, go me. It's really, really hard. I would rather have someone else say, no, go her, listen to her, yay her, right? That's what I would rather have. But, I can go back and look at this and say, okay, what can I do that works for me to get out of this funk? So there's a part of that, okay? That's doing, that's action. I think that the formula for combating depression, and I'm not talking about medical situations here. When we're talking about severe medical, suicidal, or if we're talking about mental illness, stuff like that, not talking about that in any way, okay? I am talking about manageable depression. And I think the formula is this: awareness plus acceptance plus action equals recovery, okay? All right, start by asking yourself. This is what I think, because I don't ever want to leave anybody destitute after watching this show. I don't want you guys to ever think you're going to walk away without having any more tools and, more arrows in your quiver, all right? Start by asking yourself, what's been happening lately in life? So that's what I do. What's been going on with me lately in my life? Well, obviously I've been working on taxes, so that's kind of a big thing, right? And I know I'm emotional about money, so that's a very fair and reasonable connection there. So we're going to put that in the mix, all right? I've also been working hard every day since last August here on Facebook to create meaningful programming for Lunchbreak Live. That matters. I got to add that into the mix. I've also spent a lot of years doing things that cost me literal money and literal time. But you know what? That's done. That's done. That doesn't go in the mix because that's in the past. And it's up to me to accept it or let it keep eating me up, right? I got to accept that. It's what I did. It's what I believed I was supposed to do. And who knows? Who's to say it was wrong? It just is. Okay? But it's in the past. So really, I could say it just was. But I'm not going to let that eat me up, and I don't need to feed it. Okay? It's in the past. It is what it is. All right. So that doesn't go into the mix. All right? That goes into the accept and move on category. Really. Accept. See, this is where acceptance comes in. So seriously, time for that man to die. That man that keeps, popping up going, woo, you spent a lot of time and money. Woo. And okay. Time for that man to die so he will not squeal when I poke him with a stick. Got it? This is where the courageous honesty comes in. Do you see? Does it make a little bit of sense? Because if I'm not courageously honest, then that depression will eat me up and I will want to feed it every single time. Okay? This is where the honest, courageous truth comes in. So there's all sorts of life stuff that I can consider, and my job is to determine whether I have influence over it, which means can I do anything to change it? That's important. Whether it belongs in the past and I need to make peace with it while deciding that I'm not going to repeat it. Nobody said I have to repeat that, right? Or whether I need to do something about it, which is to take action. That's the process that I am going through to address head on, to face this depression so that I don't just marinate in my misery. Okay? I'm not a person that does not like to marinate in misery. It makes you tough. When you marinate meat too long, it makes it tough. It doesn't make it more tender or tasty. Okay? So I think this is where the serenity prayer is ideal for addressing manageable depression. Serenity prayer from 12-step programs, right? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. This stuff takes practice, you guys. It doesn't happen overnight. Obviously, I had, 40 plus years of not doing it this way, so it's going to take time, especially if you have been regularly feeding it and shutting it up to make it go away, right? And as I suspect a lot of us have. It's what we do. If you have, then I think maybe the first step is to decide that you won't feed it. So just start there. Even if you can't do anything else, say, I'm not going to feed you. I may not know what you are. I may not know how I'm contributing to it yet, but I will tell you I'm not going to contribute food to you. I'm going to make a determination that says, no, I will not try to numb myself out. That's a really great first step, I think, even if you can't figure it out. Okay. So even if it hurts too much to think about it, You're not going to add to the pain by feeding it, okay? And this is where therapy, really valuable stuff. I'm not asking you to do this on your own. I'm not asking you to, rip the Band-Aid off a gaping, oozing wound, emotional wound, and just try to go it out there alone and pretend like nothing's wrong. Therapy. You need someone to hold your hand through some of this stuff because it's big, big stuff. Of course it is. We can't make light over depression. Obviously, we were feeding it for a reason, because it hurt. And we didn't feel equipped to handle it. We didn't know what to do. We felt out of control. We felt we didn't have any other options. We felt we had to eat, right? Okay, we need a therapist to show us we do have other options. We do have the power. We do have, worth. We don't have to handle it that way. Okay, that's where therapy really, really comes in. It's a great resource. If you find you're struggling with medical depression, okay, work with your physician to get help. I'm serious, guys. Meds do not solve the problem, but they can be a powerful tool in your recovery toolbox. Okay, I swear by them, not at them. All right, so stop feeding it. Check, right? That's the first thing. Seek medical and mental help. Got it. I think this is a really solid plan. And fight for the serenity that depression robs you of having. You got to fight for it, you guys. You have to fight for your serenity. I know that sounds contrary. You fight for peace, okay? I do. I am. I will. This show, every day, this lunch break live thing, this matters to me. And I know it matters to a lot of you guys. I do. So if you believe in the work that we're doing, I'm going to ask you for help, because this is part of my action plan, okay? This is part of, who said I had to struggle and do this alone? I'm going to ask you for your help in spreading the message to the people who need to hear it, because I know there are other people that need to hear it that I don't know about. Please, I'm asking for your help. I'm looking for people who are also depressed and feel hopeless. There's a lot of them out there. People who are battling obesity and addiction. People who don't know that there is compassionate help and understanding right here for the taking. This show is free. It is right here. Why wouldn't we share it? Right? That's what I think. But I need your help. I can't do it alone. I think probably the top of this list, this action list, really is that gratitude. I am so grateful for this outlet. I am so grateful for you guys. I'm so grateful that God gave me a gift to talk to you guys 30 minutes a day, and that you're willing to listen. He gave you ears and he gave me a mouth, right? That's pretty amazing. And that's why I always close my show and remind you to embrace joy, because you have to do that. You have to reach out and grab hold of it. Sometimes you have to go out there and scoop it in. Have you ever been around a kid that's like really unhappy and he's pouty and, and he doesn't want to, you go over and you scoop him up and you hug it out of him, right? And they fight and they say, I don't want it. But you do that. You reach out, you grab him in. You embrace that joy that maybe doesn't want to be held right now. You bring it in and you recognize it for what it really is. I feel, truthfully, a little bit better. Just talking about it with you guys. I do. I feel better. And I know I will feel much better after I identify and accept and take action on a few things that have been eating me up. But most importantly, I intend to fiercely guard my serenity. I am not going to throw away my sober recovery just because I feel depressed. Not going to do it. It is simply not an option. And that is my message for you guys today. If you're depressed, don't eat over it. Don't eat over it, you guys. Deal with it head on, okay? Go for it. You can do it courageously. I totally hope my dog Blue will leave soon. I do. I just do not need him hanging around. But you know what? I think I'm going to give him a lot of good reasons not to stay. I'm not going to take this one lying down. So I guess you could say I'm not going to leave that, I'm not going to let that sleeping dog lie. No room for lies. All right, you guys. Let's see here. I don't know what time it is. It's pretty late. And I don't want to spend a lot of time, but I know you guys have been talking about a lot of stuff. So I'm just going to gratefully, again, thank you for being here, sharing your time with me. It means the world to me. It really, really does, And when I get all depressed and all caught up in myself and try to find reasons not to do this, the good news is those reasons are never strong enough to keep me from doing this. You guys are my reasons. And of course, I want to have a lot more reasons to do this. And I hope you guys are willing and able to help me out by sharing this with people and really, beat the bushes. I can't do it alone. But I promise you I won't give up. And I'll do my best to keep joining you every single day and bringing you programming that gives you something hopeful to think about, maybe something you haven't thought about before, all right? So thank you for the courage to be here and the generosity to share your time with me. I am looking forward to seeing you guys tomorrow, and maybe we'll talk about something. Oh, one more thing. I told myself I was going to remember to tell you this. When we talk about being depressed, be mindful of what you're putting in, okay? If you're already feeling depressed, it's, guy go, garbage in, garbage out. My daughter came in yesterday after church. She's like, Mom, oh my gosh, Mom. I won't give it away because it would be like a spoiler alert if you're a Sons of Anarchy person who hasn't seen it all the way through. She goes, I know this thing is going to happen any minute. It's right there. It's going to happen, and I can't watch it alone. Can you watch it with me, Mom? I can't do it. So I, who am not really, into that stuff, I sat out there and watched it happen with her so she wouldn't have to watch it alone. It was not good news, you guys. It was bad. It was violent. It was horrible. And it was, depressing. So there's that. And then, after she left, I started watching Autopsy, the last hours of all these people. And let me think, Joan Rivers, oh my God, that poor woman died having an endoscopy, which I had 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, oh, great. That makes me feel good. And so in other words, be careful of what you're putting in. Fortunately, Hannah and I started watching Easter Parade with Fred Astaire and Judy Garland. And Hannah was named after the character in the movie, but she left me in the middle and said, we'll have to watch the rest of it later, Mom. So, I didn't really get my fill, but my point is be mindful of what you're putting in. Make sure you're putting in the good stuff, okay? Don't play sad songs if you're feeling sad. Look for reasons to be joyful, even if you have to create those reasons, like songs you like to sing or dance to, okay? So let's be mindful of the stuff we're putting in, because what we're putting in definitely affects the stuff that's coming out, all right? So I'm going to sign off and remind you all to have courage, seek peace, embrace joy, and above all, fight for your recovery. Remember, you can't stop feeding what's eating you. If you don't know what's eating you, I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Thank you again for being here. Bye.